worst dad jokes ever. The musical director of an orchestra became so annoyed with his lead cellist for playing too fast that he smashed him over the head with the instrument, causing fatal injuries. At his subsequent trial, he was found guilty of murder and sentenced to the electric chair. As a last meal, he asked for a bunch of green bananas, which he duly ate. The guards then sat him down, plugged him, and sent 1,000,000 volts through his body. But when the smoke cleared, he was still sitting there, alive and well. Checking through the statutes, the governor concluded that he had no choice but to release him. He returned to his job with the orchestra, but soon fell out with the lead violinist for not keeping time. After smashing the instrument, he garroted the violinist with one of the strings. Once again, he was found guilty of murder and sentenced to die in the electric chair. At the prison, he again asked for a bunch of green bananas as a final meal. After devouring them, he was placed in the chair and zapped with 2,000,000 volts. But when the smoke cleared, he was still perfectly healthy. The governor had no option other than to release him. Back with the orchestra, he had a huge row with the trombonist for coming in at the wrong place. He was so angry that he rammed the instrument slide up the trombonist's butt, causing fatal injuries. Found guilty of murder, he was once more sentenced to death. As a final meal, he again asked for a bunch of green bananas, and after wolfing them down, he was seated in the electric chair. 3,000,000 volts surged through his body, but when the smoke cleared, he remained perfectly healthy. The executioner was in despair. "How do you keep managing to cheat death in the electric chair?" he asked the musical director. "What's your secret? Is it the green bananas?" "No," he replied. "I'm just a lousy conductor." A man walks into a bar. The bartender asks why the long face. The man replies, "I just found out my wife is sleeping with another man. I've decided I'm going to drink myself to death." The bartender looks shocked and says, "I'm sorry, I can't help you kill yourself." The man asks, "Well, what would you do in my situation?" The bartender puffs himself up a bit and says, "If I found out a guy was sleeping with my wife, I wouldn't sit around feeling sorry for myself. I'd kill the guy." The man jumps up from his stool and shouts, "That's a great idea, thanks," and runs out of the bar. A couple hours goes by, and the bartender is starting to get nervous when the man walks back into the bar with a smile on his face. "Did you kill the guy?" the bartender asks nervously. "Nope, I slept with your wife. Whiskey, please." A woman finds a gnome hiding in her house during winter. She tries to shoo the gnome out with a broom, and it says, "I'm not going out there, it's bloody cold." The woman says, "I don't care. Go find a tree or something to live in," and swats the gnome with the broom again. The gnome tells her, "If you hit me with that broom one more time, I'll use my magic to turn your husband into a dog." Well, she swatted him with the broom again, and he said, "That's it." His eyes glowed red, and he looked at the man sitting on the couch nearby, but nothing happened. The gnome looks confused and said, "I don't understand. Why didn't your husband turn into a dog?" And the woman says, "That is not my husband." A small town countryman decides to go to the city. He's a self-sufficient guy, so this is a rare occurrence. However, finding himself low on essentials, he decides there's nothing for it and heads in. Being something of a special occasion, he takes his youngest daughter with him, thinking it was the perfect chance to show off his knowledge of the world outside to an eager audience. On the trip in, they chatter away until they arrive at their first stop, the bakery. Pulling up, the little one excitedly asks where they are. "Why, this is John the baker, youngest. You see, when Dad doesn't make any bread, John makes it for him." The little one stares at him wide-eyed and asks, "Is it as good as yours?" With a small grin, he replies, "No, mine is better." And off he went to get the bread. Arriving at their next stop, the little one again queries where they are. "Why, this is Ted's liquor store, youngest. You see, when Dad doesn't make any beer, Ted makes it for him." The little one stares at him, thinking hard, and asks, "Is it as good as yours?" With a bigger grin, he replies, "No, mine is better," and off he went to get some beer. At their final stop, the butcher shop, The little one thinks the world makes a lot more sense now. So then, Dad, his smallest child begins and looks at him expectantly. Yes, that's right, little one. This is Tom the butcher. And when Dad hasn't made any sausages, he trails off. Tom makes them for you? She asks hesitantly. Yes, that's right. You are a smart one, he exclaimed. And yours are better, she shouts. Beaming with pride, he says, exactly, and away he goes to collect some sausages from Tom. On the road home, they pass the milkman coming the other way. Hey, Dad, exclaimed the little one, it's Pete the postman. Yes, that's right, said the farmer, but sensing what comes next, he quickly continued. But we need Pete. Your dad is a farmer and can do a lot of things, but I can't do what Pete does. Oh, yes, she replied. Mum says so too. Derek and Carla met while on a singles cruise, and they fell head over heels in love. When they discovered they lived in the same city, only a few miles apart, Derek was ecstatic. He immediately started asking her out when they got home. Within a couple of weeks, Derek had taken Carla to dance clubs, restaurants, concerts, movies, and museums. He became convinced that Carla was indeed his soulmate and true love. Every date seemed better than the last. On the 1-month anniversary of their first dinner on the cruise ship, Derek took Carla to a fine restaurant. While having cocktails and waiting for their salad, he said to her, I guess you can tell I'm very much in love with you. I'd like a little serious talk before our relationship continues to the next stage. So, before I get a box out of my jacket and ask you a life-changing question, it's only fair to warn you, I'm a total golf nut. I play golf. I read about golf. I watch golf on TV. In short, I eat, sleep, and breathe golf. If that's going to be a problem for us, you better say so now. Carla took a deep breath and responded, Derek, that certainly won't be a problem. I love you as you are, and I love golf too. But since we're being totally honest with each other, you need to know that for the last 5 years, I've been a hooker. That's all right, Derek replied. I bet it's because you're not keeping your wrists straight when you hit the balls. Little Johnny took a child to the barber shop. He got his own haircut, then told the barber, You cut the kid's hair. I'm just going to buy some vegetables. The barber gave the child a haircut, but little Johnny never returned. After a long wait, the barber asked the kid, Where did your older brother go? The child replied, He wasn't my older brother. Barber, then who was he? Child, I don't know. I was just playing in the street when he came and said, Come, I'll get you a free haircut. In quotes. In the Old West, a man working for a rancher showed up on his horse 2 days late for his first day of work. The ranch owner was furious and told the man he was supposed to arrive on Monday. The man looked confused and said, I thought I did. And the rancher yells at him, It's Wednesday. The ranch hand then got angry and said, No, it's Monday. My horse's name has always been Monday. A man was sitting at the bar looking dejectedly into his bottle of beer. You look pretty down, said the guy on the next stool. Want to talk about it? I don't know, sighed the first man. It's just that this time last year, I had a fantastic job. I was making big money. So? Well, that was the problem. People started noticing the bills were 5 millimeters too big. Buck was having a tough time with his pig farm. His pigs just weren't breeding. One day, his friend Chucky stopped by. After a quick chat, Chucky recommended, This natural breeding thing doesn't work anymore. You have to try artificial insemination on the piglets. If it works, the next day they'll be rolling in the mud. Since Buck didn't know what artificial insemination was, the next day he loaded all the piglets into his Chevy and drove to the back of the farm. And for hours, he banged each one of them himself. The next morning, he woke up and asked his wife, Daisy, go see if the piglets are rolling in the mud. Daisy replied, No, Buck, not rolling in the mud. So Buck gathered all the piglets back into his Chevy and took them to the back of the farm again. He banged each one again, and the next day he asked Daisy if they were rolling in the mud. Daisy replied, No, Buck, none of them are rolling in the mud. Furious, Buck took all the piglets and put them back in the Chevy. At the back of the farm, he took a couple of Viagras and banged each one even harder, twice. Exhausted, he got home and fell asleep. The next day, he asked his wife if the piglets were rolling in the mud. Daisy then replied, "They're not rolling in the mud, but they're all inside the Chevy, and one of them is honking the horn."